Hey Blues fans, this is Anthony from StevieSnacks.com, and it's time again for Free Lesson Friday, my favorite day of the week. Today I'm going to show you something that I hope is going to be insanely practical, and that is just for those of you who are just kind of getting your chops together, how do you actually launch into a slow blues guitar solo? Now my view of improvising is that I hear what I'm going to play before I actually play it, but if I haven't had enough coffee, or my creative juices aren't flowing, like if you're playing one of those 10:30 at night gigs and you're just drained from working all day, sometimes in order to get the juices flowing, you have to have something concrete to start with, something that doesn't require any creativity. That's exactly what these licks are designed to do. It's something that you can just kind of catalog to know, okay, this happens at the beginning of a solo. Once I get this out, then hopefully the creative juices will start flowing and you'll hear the rest of the solo in your head before you start playing it. Just a few specifics about where we're playing. We're going to be in the key of A flat. I use E flat tuning for most of my lessons because I do mostly Stevie Ray Vaughan style stuff. So that puts my root marker here at the 5th fret. Now the only thing other thing that I'll say up front is that these licks are designed to work in songs where it's okay to mix major and minor. Songs like Texas Flood or Red House. They're not really designed to work with songs like Tin Pan Alley, for example. So having said that, let's go through them one at a time. So lick number 1, we're going to be starting in box number 1 here. Okay, timing-wise, when you hear the turnaround to the 5 chord, you would aim to hit that part right on the first beat of the measure of the 12 bar. So what you're doing is in your box 1 here, we're going to be on the A string at the 7th fret, jump up to the D string at the 4th fret, then the D string at the 7th fret. And then we're going to take these 2 notes out of the E form bar chord that would form our 1. And we're just going to slide out. That's the 6th fret on the G string, 5th fret on the B string. All right, so that's lick number 1. Lick number 2 is very similar. Let me see if I can play that a little bit cleaner and add a little bit of grit here. All right, so this time we're walking up the same way. Those 3 notes are the same. Then, instead of just going right to these notes that we were before, we're going to bar them both at the 5th fret and hammer onto the note at the 6th fret. And then drop to the 7th fret of the D string, down to the 7th fret of the A string. Okay, again, you want to time it so that this happens right at the first beat of the first measure of the 12-bar progression. So that's licks 1 and 2. All right. Now let's take a look at licks 3 and 4, which both take us out of box 1 into box number 2. Or, okay, very similar. We're going to lead in with our very typical bend on the G string here at the 7th fret, follow through to the 5th fret of the B string and the E string, and then slide 8 to 10 on the B string. Okay, you want to time that one so that this slide happens right at the first bar of the progression. You'll notice a common theme here that there's certain notes of the licks that are designed to fall right on the first beat of the 12-bar chorus. And that's not by accident. That's what we're trying to accentuate here. Now let's take a look at a quick alternative way of playing lick number 3. In this case, you just slide to the 10th fret, jump up to the 8th fret of the B string, of the E string, and then back down to the B string at the 10th fret with vibrato. All right, now, lick number 4 is kind of similar, but it has a very different timing. Okay, that's just going very quickly from the 5th fret of the B string up to the 5th fret of the E string. And that's got to be kind of staccato because we want to leave a noticeable gap in between. And then you hear that gap, and And then we do the same slide that we did before, 8 to 10 on the B string. So that's licks 1 through 4. Now we're going to be moving up into box 2 for the next set. The next one's going to be very reminiscent of Albert King. Albert King and Stevie Ray Vaughan. The core concept behind this is that you're going to be doing some sort of Albert King style bend on the high E string, and you're going to be landing on the root note at the 10th fret. In this specific case, we're launching into it with a little lick from, this would be the 9th fret of the B string up to the 10th fret of the, 9th fret of the G string, 10th fret of the B string, and then a bend, 10th fret of the E string, drop down to 8, and then down to the 10th fret of the B string. Now, the basic concept behind this, like I said, is that you're doing some kind of high bending in the Albert King box, and you're landing on the root note of the key. You could also go... It doesn't really matter what you're doing. The key is you're doing something involving a bend, landing as the finishing note of your lick on the 10th fret there. Now, another thing that you can do in box 2, this would be lick number 6, I guess, is to end your lick on the bend at the 10th fret. See, it would still fit. Okay, so that's just another, the simple lick here I'm just doing is 10th fret on the B string, 8th fret of the E string, 10th fret of the E string, full step bend, and then bend again with vibrato. And then that last bend happens right at the first beat of the bar. So that's lick number 6, and that takes us through box 1 and box number 2. And lick number 7, we're going to be in box number 3. And the key concept here is that we're going to do a bend sliding in to box number 3. Now that's something that I taught in my BB's Influence lesson series, but I want to show you that lick and then explain why that fits at the beginning. So you're going to slide along the G string from like 9 to 11 up to the root note 10th fret of the B string. And then you're going to jump up out of box 3 into the 13th fret of the B string. Jump up to the top of box 3, 12 to 10, down to 13 on B again, and then 2 hits at the 10th fret of the B string. And then a quick trail off, 12 to 10 on B, down to 11 on G. Now the point here is not to just learn that lick, but let's talk about the concept behind the lick, is that we're sliding into box 3, using that bend to create some tension, jumping up to the top of box 3 and walking down. You could also, same concept, we're resolving down here to the note at the 10th fret of the B string, which is the root note of our key here. All right, so that is the lick and the concept behind number 7. Lick number 8 is something that you might be used to hearing at the end of a 12-bar progression. That's something that I traditionally teach works as you're going into bar number 9 of the 12-bar progression. It also happens to work right at the beginning, so if you can kind of get yourself back into the zone of... You can kind of hear that it still fits at the beginning there. So what you're going to be doing is going to the top of box 3 here. And you know, when I teach box 3, I teach it different from the scales that most people learn. And I just have box 3 outlined this way. To add some tension, you just jump up to the next note. You bend that a step. And then you drop down to the 12th fret. So you're bending from the 13th fret of the E string. And then heavy vibrato at the 12th fret of the E string. And then you just kind of, you time it so that that heavy vibrato happens right at the first beat of the first bar of the 12-bar progression. All right, so that takes us through lick number 8. Now, lick number 9 is a lot like lick number 8, but this time, instead of focusing on kind of resolving things like that, we're actually going to bend back up to that note and hold it. All right, so it gives a slightly different, a little bit more of a tense sound. So you're bending to that note, pick it again, drop to the 12th fret of the E string, and then push back up to the peak of that bend from the 13th fret and slide out from the peak. All right, I think I got that one from Albert King, and I just like how it kind of creates that tension between the note that you're hitting with the progression and the note that you're ending the lick on. Lastly, for lick number 10, we're going to be going into box number 4. And you guys, if you follow my lessons at all, you know that I hardly ever play there, only when I'm doing maybe some Clapton-style stuff to go in there. But it just so happens that box number 4 provides us an opportunity to do something that we can't really do very comfortably in box number 2. So why are box number 4 and box number 2 related? Well, because the thing that you mainly do in box number 2, which is that Albert King style stuff, in box number 4, you can do a lot of that same stuff on the B and the G string. But what you have at your disposal in box number 4 is the high E string above there. And we're going to take advantage of it in lick number 4, or lick number 10. And you're going to use this technique where you bend up on a note, and then you tap the note above it. So we're bending at the 15th fret of the B string. Full step bend up to the 17th fret. And then we're adding in the note that's fretted at the 15th fret of the E string. If you add a little vibrato there, it kind of takes on a train whistle sound. I don't know if train whistle is the right way to describe it, but I got a kid who likes Thomas the Train, so everything sounds like trains to me. And I threw that lick in there, even though it's not one that I use very much, because it's distinctly different from all of the other stuff that we've done. So that sound right there, that's very different than what else we've done. And if you're going to have these stock licks that you go back to start solos with, you don't want them all to sound the same, okay? So there you go, 10 licks that go across the 5 Essential Blues boxes that can be used in the same kind of song. If you find yourself getting stuck and it's your turn to solo, maybe using one of those licks will get your juices flowing, and you'll figure out what to play after you get that out of your system. Anyway, I hope that's useful to you, and until next time, thanks for watching.